Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Rolling Thunder rolls on. Race number 14 this evening. This is the Talladega Challenge on Thursday night. This is the final race of Season 67. My name is Blaine Donlin. This is Tarnation TV, joined by Jack Mitchell, Kyle Matthews, and Seth Cole from Flat Out Racing Network.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, 13 hard-fought races so far this season. It all comes down to tonight. 4 drivers with a chance of winning the championship. They basically set the table for what the different point scenarios are coming into tonight. And Kyle, could we have asked for a better precursor to what to maybe expect here tonight than last week, where we saw 50% of our Championship 4 involved in the closest finish of the season so far, 6 1/1000ths of a second, Grant Wesley over Donnie Garrett. If that's the appetizer, bring out the main course.
Yeah, I've been thinking all week, how can we possibly top what we got last week? And not only did we have a photo finish between Donnie Garrett and Grant Wesley, the other 2 championship contenders, Tim Knopfsker and Chuck McClure, they all finished in the top 10. I believe the lowest finishing position for them was the 8th position. So all 4 come into this race with a legitimate shot at winning the championship. Could not ask for more.
Absolutely, and we know that we've seen here during the course of these playoffs, big fields, a lot of points on the table, so anything can happen here tonight as those Championship 4 come into this race only separated by 10 singular points. Jack, you and I, we've been covering the races during the course of this week, what we've dubbed the RTG Finale Fest. We saw Grant Wesley last night win the championship in the Air 88 Series. A couple of nights earlier, Jeremy Jeffries taking the championship in the Barebones Racing Series on Monday night. But you mentioned this last night during our broadcast that out of all of the championship battles here this week, with the unpredictability of super speedway racing here tonight, this might be the toughest championship to achieve for all 4 of the championship drivers.
Absolutely. It's really, really hard to win at Talladega when you consider how big of a field it is and how naturally unpredictable the races tend to be. You got the crazy nature of running 3-4 wide consistently in the middle of this track, and the stress levels can be at a high for a lot of these drivers as well. You and I were talking about how we wish at some point that these drivers could have heart monitors during the race. So, I feel like all of our heart monitors would be going off the charts at this point. This is going to be absolutely epic.
Now, Kyle, we ended up seeing last week, it was a general consensus by the 4 championship drivers, something entirely new this season that we haven't seen in seasons past since they implemented the 2-race final round. All 4 championship drivers willingly starting at the rear of the field. And not to say that it wasn't without issue. You mentioned, yes, Chuck McClure, he managed to finish inside the top 10, but he was involved in a couple of wrecks, had some damage during the course of that event, was able to salvage a solid finish. They're doing it again tonight, running it back at the rear of the field. They got lucky last week, all able to finish in the top 10. Can they do it again here tonight?
Well, that's the big question. I completely forgot about that, so I'm glad you brought that up. And now that you mentioned it, if I remember correctly, where they lined up, Grant Wesley actually started shotgun on the field and ended up winning it. It was essentially a last-to-first challenge, and he was able to pull it off. Will they be able to, pull off something like that tonight? I don't know. After what we saw last week, anything is certainly possible.
Yeah, to that point, for those wondering, the way that the Championship 4 would line up off the grid, we'll be giving you your full starting lineup here tonight, but as you mentioned, Grant started dead last of everybody, including the Championship 4 last week. This time, he gets the benefit of being the highest starter of the Championship 4, followed by Donnie Garrett, Tim Knopfsker, and Chuck McClure will bring up the rear of the field. So, yeah, you might be right. Maybe there's something in it that the furthest back you start, maybe it's going to have you with the good mojo to finish the highest here tonight. Jack, what about the mentality for the drivers coming into this evening? Because as we mentioned, Kyle alluded to it. They all finished in the top 10 last week. 2 of the Championship 4 were in the photo finish for the victory. And this is a unique final round because back in the round of 12, if you won, you were into the round of 8. Round of 8, if you won, you were into the final 4. Wins are important here in this final round, but they don't win you the championship outright. If you're any one of these Championship 4, are you treating tonight potentially as a must-win, Or if the situation allows and you don't like what you see, do you maybe give up a bunch of track position to get to a safe spot and then try and work your way back forward late? Like, are we immediately on the green flag hunting for the front?
I would say that, at the very beginning of the race, maybe take it a little bit easy. Again, just really try to pace yourself. Don't try to overdo it, because you can't win the race on lap 1, but you can certainly lose it. Your race car can be wrecked and out of the thing before we're even halfway through. But at the same time, when we get into those late race situations, when you consider how close this top 4 is, I would say absolutely try to do everything you can to go for the race win. And that's also the fact that you have to get around a bunch of other race drivers that, let's be honest, in the finale, there's a lot of drivers that don't have race wins yet this season. So there's a lot of people who are going to want to try and do everything they can just to find a checkered flag in the last race of the season.
Yeah, you bring up a great point there, because you can go back to Tuesday night. Obviously, in the iRacing series, they don't run for points. So we were talking about the fact that drivers were just looking to end out the season with a checkered flag, and we saw a debuting Evan Perry be able to do just that under the lights at Kansas. Last night, the championship was all but decided. Grant Wesley 50-plus points over his nearest competitor, so drivers were clamoring to get that final checkered flag in the Aero 88 series. Same deal here tonight. As you mentioned, a lot of drivers still with a 0 in the win column would love to end off season 67 of the Talladega Challenge Series with a victory, and maybe even so clinch themselves a spot in the All-Star race, super speedway style, that's coming up in a couple of weeks. If they are not yet already locked in, that would be their ticket into that non-points event as well. Also, we need to keep an eye on another battle here tonight. We'll obviously put in a lot of emphasis on the Championship 4, but in every weekly series, there always is that race within the race. And here on Thursday nights, it is what is known as the Bracket Challenge. After 4 races, the top 32 in the point standings are put into a bracket tournament. Eventually, we end up having a winner on the winner's side of the bracket. The following weeks end up determining a winner on the loser's side of the bracket. Winner's side of the bracket this season was Brian Schilling. Loser's side of the bracket was Grant Wesley. Grant, with the win last week, managed to send it into a sudden death rematch between himself and Schilling here tonight. Highest finisher will take the Bracket Challenge Championship this evening. And Brian Schilling, if you're going to be looking for him here tonight, not in that usual yellow goldish McClure number 4 throwback. He's actually featuring a different throwback here tonight, the orange and black 3 doors down machine. So we'll keep an eye out for him and Grant Wesley's Dale Jr. throwback during the course of tonight's race, as you see the field rolling off behind the pace car. And this is the way they will line up for the final race of season 67 of the Talladega Challenge Series. Glenn Harris lining up on the pole position here tonight. He'll share the front row with that Lotus throwback of Mark Paglia. Doug Hewlick and Robert Breedlove, they'll make up the second row with Billy Ellis or Kelly Causey in row 3. Greg Lovell, John Godfrey are your 4th row with Denny Carroll and Jeremy Jeffries, your bare bones Racing Series champion for season 67, completing the top 10. Jeffrey Elliott's back in row 6 alongside of Robert Spring. Row 7, Cy Jones and Randy Waugh.
Luigi.
In row 8, you got Michael Norman alongside of Craig Hagley, Mike Mangialardi, and Richard Martin. In row 9, your top 20 will be completed by Bob Seminara and Perry Bond. Graham McDonald, Ulysses Sandoval, they're back in row 11. Row 12 finds Bernie Mubbs and Pat McCarsky. Row 13, Bobby Farrell and Brian Lovell. Row 14 with Keith Bynum and Terry Bombard. Joe DeSpirito back in the 15th row with Josh Metallic, completing the top 30. We mentioned Brian Schilling in the hunt for that Bracket Challenge Championship. He'll roll off the grid from 31st. Back in row 16 with Rodney Sullins. Row 17 finds Tim Anderson and Greg Palmer. And in your final 2 rows, bringing up your 38-car field here tonight, are your Championship 4 drivers, Grant Wesley, Donnie Garrett, Tim Nofsker, and Chuck McClure. One of those 4 at the end of the night will be able to claim the championship, and we'll talk a little bit more about potential tiebreakers here in a moment. But it's time now for the final green flag to wave over this thundering herd. The finale of the Talladega Challenge Series is green. And a really good launch there right out of the gate for Mark Paglia. He almost had Glenn Harris cleared by the time they went through the center of 1 and 2.
Yeah, that outside line got a really good start. Now they're making up for it on the bottom. They're side by side, Harris and Pagula.
Third line forming up top there, that Michael Waltrip throwback. Jeremy Jeffries, former winner on the season, looking to continue to ride the momentum of what's been a pretty solid week for him. Of course, won the championship on Monday night, a top 5 run on Tuesday night in the iRacing
4 wide, I think, in the back.
race. Well, they were. I think that was Perry Bond that got shuffled into the middle. They'll sort it out to 3 wide.
Just another Thursday here, 4 wide. No
Then
big
3
deal.
wide, several rows deep.
This is what I was talking about pre-race, though, about how you have the tension of constantly running 3 wide at this racetrack, 4 wide for another brief moment there. And you don't necessarily see that in all the other RTG series over the course of the season, but this is how it is at Talladega. This is just how it goes.
Seeing a lot of movement up here at the front as Jeremy Jeffries in that third line was able to clear the lower 2 rows. He now is out in front showing the way. We ended up seeing quite a number of cautions during the course of last week's precursor to this finale and saw a couple of our Championship 4 get caught up in it. As we're seeing all this moving and shaking up here at the front, middle of the pack, one would certainly have to wonder if the Championship 4, who all start at the rear of the field, are seeing this and may decide to just chill out at the back for a little bit of time, let everything happen up in front of them.
Stacking up on the bottom slightly, but not these guys' first day. I think they'll be okay. So, Seth, you're going to be with us on Saturday when we go to that ALS Association fundraising event Kelly Causey's throwing.
Looking forward to that. I mean, Kelly has gone above and beyond in promoting that event. Saw just a couple of days ago, he was actually on Biloxi's local news network to promote it as we have Robert Spring up into the wall. The 21 of Randy Waugh followed him up in there, but everybody was able to give them the room necessary to recover. We're still 4 wide stacked up, though. Schilling in the middle of that, DeSpirito as well.
Good job by a lot of those drivers not panicking there in that situation. That could have been a lot worse.
Robert Spring just clobbered that wall right there, and I cannot believe that was not a big wreck right there. Great job of everybody hanging onto their cars.
Yeah, a lot of people had to react to that.
Look at the right side of that 74 car. That is completely caved in. I mean, that was a hard hit.
I mean, that was, I believe, from the middle groove all the way up to the outside wall. And 2 things that really amazed me there. One, the fact that when the car bounced off the wall, he was able to kind of keep it pointed still in the correct direction. Normally, a driver bounces off the wall at that angle. It shoots them right back down into the field. The second thing is the fact that the wall didn't really suck him in. Yes, he lost momentum. Yes, it kind of stacked Joe DeSpirito and others up behind him, but it wasn't like a huge difference of speed from the moment of impact to the time of trying to recover, and that allowed everybody to be able to lift off the throttle, coast, and give him the time to recover, gather that thing back up. So, we dodged a bullet right there, and I think nobody is more happy of that fact than the Championship 4, who would have had to make their way through that wreck if it had occurred. Mentioned about Kelly Causey there, Blaine. He's on the outside line. Second car behind that number 28 of Mark Paglia. I mean, we could compile a list of 15, 20 drivers that at the beginning of the season we would have said, yep, definitely could see them in victory lane, clinching a playoff spot. And Kelly Causey is one of those drivers. We've seen him have multi-win seasons, be contender season after season in the playoffs. This season, not fortunate to be a part of the festivities here in the postseason and still chasing that first checkered flag of season 67.
This must be a break time for him because he works nonstop on this event that's taking place on a Saturday for his good friend Joey St. Amand, who passed away a couple of years ago now from ALS. It's just being an organizer of an event that size, the amount of people that he has involved in it, man, it must be nice to come out here and race 3 wide at Talladega, I think. Maybe this is a break, you think?
I think so.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
got to be, right?
this is a moment to decompress a little bit. I mean, obviously, you still have the adrenaline rushing here of racing at over 190 miles per hour at Talladega, but as we kind of mentioned, this is just a normal Thursday night for these guys. I mean, while most people thrown into this situation would be a nervous wreck, no, these guys are just out here chilling, having a good time. It's only when the wrecks occur or we get down to the final 5 laps, that's when probably the adrenaline starts rising inside the cockpits of these machines.
I mean, there's nothing more relaxing than racing at Talladega, 195 miles an hour, running 3 wide every row on back. Nothing more relaxing than that.
No.
Yeah, super chill experience. You can just close your eyes, listen to the engine sounds, and just enjoy a nice Thursday night at Talladega.
Well, Greg Lovell has managed to get his Buffalo Bills Dark Horse Mustang to the front of the field here, now over Jeffrey Elliott. Jeremy Jeffries, who was formerly leading, has now slipped back to the 3rd spot. Right behind them is that very familiar Petty Blue number 43 of Richard Martin. Let's not forget, he currently holds the closest interval in terms of winning a championship since they implemented the 2-race final round. Didn't win a single race the entire season, but won the championship by 1 point. There's the possibility here tonight with points as close as they are that we could see that same scenario, could even see a tiebreaker at the end of this race between 2, maybe 3, maybe all 4, who knows? Scenarios like that could happen with super speedway racing, and they have put in the implements of tie-breaking scenarios should we end up needing them. It's going to come down to whoever has the most victories. If there's a tie in that, it would come down to who has the most top 5s. Then after that, whoever has the most top 10s. Right now, if Grant Wesley was in any of those scenarios, he would have the advantage, the only 3-time winner on the season. Donnie Garrett, Tim Knopfsker with 2 each, Chuck McClure with only 1.
I was just informed by Michael Norman that Josh Metallic is being scored a lap down. He glitched coming across the line. And he's
I
going
know
to
we
have
saw
to.
that happen to
gonna have to
Ulysses.
Yeah.
And they won't
Ulysses
give
a
the lap
couple weeks
back,
ago.
right?
He's going to have to wait. He's going to have to wait till a caution comes out, is what it sounds like.
Yeah, kind of similar to what we ended up seeing last night in the Air 88 series when Grant Wesley ended up disappearing in the 2nd position. He reappeared after crossing the start-finish line and was never able to get that lap back. That was in the closing stages of the race, and I believe we did have a caution come out, but he wasn't the lucky dog. He would win the championship, 12th, 1 lap down, but the Internet Gremlins striking Josh Metallic here tonight, one of our former winners on the season.
In fact, Josh Metallic almost got his 2nd win last week. He was actually leading, coming to get the white flag, and then Donnie Garrett and Grant Wesley got by him and went on to have that amazing finish that we saw. So,
well, Metallic is a part of a group that is trying to work their way up on the outside line, comprised of 3 of the championship 4. Tim Knopfsker, the Amp Energy 088, currently leading Chuck McClure and Grant Wesley. Donnie Garrett, the other of the championship 4 drivers, he's elected to run on the inside line, almost alongside of Grant Wesley right now, running behind Terry Bombard's number 10. So they're all still in close proximity to each other, but a little split strategy into which line they want to run in the early going.
yeah, but you mentioned like all the potential scenarios for, if we do get a tie out of this thing. It's one of the reasons why I do not envy the administrators over here at RTG. Just all the stuff they have to sort through. They do an amazing job, and I wouldn't want to have that job. It just seems too stressful.
Donnie Garrett, a part of that photo finish last week, came up just 6 1,000ths short of his 3rd win on the season. Closest competitor, points-wise, to Grant Wesley coming in tonight, 5 points in arrears, with Tim Knopfsker -8, Chuck McClure -10. So if you do the calculations, basically add a 1 to the total of points that they are behind Grant Wesley, they need to finish that many positions ahead of the 88, and then obviously need to finish a certain number of positions ahead of the rest of their competition if you're Tim Knopfsker or Chuck McClure, as Knopfsker's going to find his way down to the bottom in front of McClure. Looks like now as we're about 3/4 of the way through this fuel run, more and more drivers trying to migrate down to that yellow line. Notice the 21 of Randy Waugh.
Luigi.
Remember, we saw him and Robert Spring. They ended up going up into the outside wall. Both drivers still in this lead pack. Robert at the tail end of the lead group. Randy has worked his way now, trying to crack back up into the top 20. And he popped into our chat before they took the green flag and asked us to...
I was focused on Jeffrey Elliott, and then the camera just stalled. He's back on track now.
We had Randy pop into our chat and said to give Corey a shout out here tonight. Watching Randy wheel his way around the racetrack this evening. Another driver that we ended up seeing. Oh, that's a stack up and ahead. And there goes Bernie Mobs.
Tim Knopfsker's involved. Chuck McClure is involved. Donnie Garrett sliding on the bottom there.
That's 3 of the championship 4. If they can avoid getting hit, I think they'll be okay.
Where's Grant at?
I think Grant may have gotten through. He did.
Yeah.
Pace car setting a lightning fast speed to get up there and pick up the field, but dare I say 3 harmless spins for 75% of the championship 4 right there?
Looks like when I looked back at all of them during that wreck, it looked like there was no real visible damage. Looked like they had made a couple of bumps with some other drivers, but so far not really any major damage, at least that we know of, that can keep them out of this thing.
Why not stack the field up here? All right, right around the 931, maybe 29.
I think it's even further up ahead of him. I think it was maybe Hewlick, Seminara, Elliser. I mean, it's really hard to tell. There was a lot of drivers having to lift up out of the throttle. Just chain reacts back to the middle of the pack, and eventually to the rear of the field. But we saw Knopfsker, McClure, and Garrett all go around. I don't believe they made contact with any of the walls inside or outside, and it looked like nobody else made any contact with them as they were spinning. So outside of maybe some fresh tires, I think all 3 of those championship drivers should be okay.
Donnie Garrett got hit from behind by the 033 of Tim Anderson, and I think he kept it off the wall. If he didn't, he just barely grazed it right there. The car looks good. I don't see any damage.
Donnie Garrett, very thankful that this is NR2003 and not NR2002, because if that had been that sim, the pace car has mass, and he would have annihilated that pace car.
Yeah. Saw Rodney Sellens get spun around on pit road there, but we're under yellow, so it won't be a horrible loss of positions.
Really didn't see anybody take any significant hits in this wreck. Maybe outside
So the
of
92,
the 92
and
of Bobby Farrell, as he got a hit late from Robert Spring.
so it's like everybody here was pretty lucky how this ended up happening.
Yeah, again, a lot of cars involved, but again, another one of those things where it could have been a much bigger deal than it was. I mean, you just never know at the nature of this racetrack. We were a couple of extra hits or bumps or something like that away from having a couple of our championship 4 drivers in much worse shape than they are right now.
So we had a majority of the...
We got Ken Roberts on the YouTube channel here on the Tarnation TV side of things. Good luck to the final 4, he says, which tells me he's not in the race tonight. Ken was unable to make the grid.
Did we have knockout qualifying?
No.
We did not. I know Cody Lamas was planning on being in the field here tonight as well. He's currently without power. Was expecting it was going to be back before the Tally Challenge race tonight, but obviously he's not in the field this evening either.
Looks
That
like
might be
Jeffrey Elliott's internet stabilized. He dropped out from second place there on the back straightaway. And when he reconnected 5 seconds later, he was down on the massive apron there, so didn't cause any wrecks. Not fun when your internet glitches out when you're in a pack.
Certainly is not, especially too when it's that type of a thing that's out of your control and you're running well in the race.
He's like second place, and then he just disappears.
This caution is a good break for Josh Metallic. He should get his lap back now that they're under caution after glitching out crossing the line.
Robert Spring will also get to repair that right side damage after pancaking the outside wall in the early stages of this one. And it looked like, under this caution period, Tim Knopfsker, one of the Championship 4 that was involved in that wreck with a harmless spin, it looks like he's going to have to work his way from the back of the pack again. I think he got a black flag for speeding on pit road, so he will start EOL on this upcoming restart that's going to be led, it looks like, by Graham McDonald's Dodge, Ulysses Sandoval's Toyota, then Denny Carroll's Chevrolet, and Greg Lovell's Ford. So a lot of different manufacturer representation in those first two rows.
You a fan
we
of
eventually
parity?
get the lights out in the pace car.
If you like parity, it don't get any better than that. 4 manufacturers in the top 4.
And there's that Newman throwback of Josh Metallic up on the outside line. He'll wait for the lights to go out, go around, get his lap back, as you alluded to, Kyle. They'll put all 38 drivers back on the lead lap and running for the upcoming restart. Okay.
Graham McDonald and Ulysses Sandoval coming to pit road.
Looks like the running order I gave will not be accurate. 1 to green. Front row, top 2. Hit pit lane, couple of others behind them.
Yeah, they stayed out under a caution. Another pitting coming to get the one to go, and
Any lap
Trying
left
to-
bonus points?
We have at least for
Trying
the
to play a
33.
little-
Yep.
trying to play a little bit of fuel mileage strategy, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, this would have been just a couple laps prior to when drivers would have made their first pit stop under green. So, yeah, maybe stretch it. That extra lap of fuel could be a difference maker in the closing stages of tonight if we see this thing go green from this point on. Denny Carroll was the first one off of pit road of the drivers that did come to pit lane under this caution. So now that entire second row moves up to create the front row with Greg Lovell in second, Jeremy Jeffries in third. How about Michael Norman? He's been on a streak of pretty good finishes as of late, and he's going to make the outside of row 2. Richard
Yeah, got a
Martin,
top-
Mark Paglia, your third row.
Yeah, Michael got a top 10 last week. Got a top 10 2 or 3 weeks ago before that. So, yeah, you got a little bit of momentum going here.
Wanted to wait until everybody crossed the start finish line there to update where the championship 4 will restart. Grant Wesley will be the highest starting of them. He'll be 11th on this restart. Donnie Garrett going to be 19th place. Then you got to go quite a ways back to find Chuck McClure in 30th, Tim Knopfsker in 31st. I believe those drivers actually also came down pit road here at the 1 to green to top off the fuel tank. They already were behind on track position, being involved in that caution. So why not come down and try and see if you can get yourself a little bit of an advantage over the rest of your championship competitors here fuel-wise. Well, it was last season that we saw Denny Carroll pick up his first career win here on Thursday nights in the Talladega Challenge Series, made it into the playoffs with that victory. This season relied on consistency to get into the postseason. Comes into tonight 8th in the championship standings. Green flag back in the air, and that's something too. I don't know if that's necessarily a goal for these drivers, but you kind of look at the drivers that are 9th through 12th in points. Best they can finish is 9th position. Drivers 5th through 8th in the standings, eliminated after the second round. Best they can finish in points is 5th. Almost wonder if that's a goal they set for themselves. Finish the highest you possibly can in your specific round to close out season 67.
I would not be surprised if some drivers have that mentality. Michael Norman did not necessarily, I'm not really sure how good of a restart that whole outside line got him. It looked like Michael was kind of being squeezed between the car in front of him and behind him.
I would imagine after everybody that's been eliminated from championship contention, I would imagine they set some sort of goal for themselves to finish off the season. So wouldn't be surprised if they do have that mentality.
I mean, in a lot of those cases, it would probably just be trying to do, if you have no wins, just try to do everything you can to get a checkered flag. This is the last race of the season, like we were just talking about pre-race. There's no other chances to get a win this season if you can't find victory lane here tonight. So, and maybe some drivers want to do what they can to get into the Super Speedway All-Star race as well. So there's still some things to race for drivers that aren't in championship contention anymore.
Well, 5 of the championship 13 drivers when we began the playoffs still sit with a 0 in the win column. 2 of them running first and second. Denny Carroll and Greg Lovell. We got a wreck in the back, a big wreck in the
Tim
back.
Knopfsker's involved.
Yes, indeed, and that's a bigger hit for the 088. Mike Mangialardi all torn up. Oh, that is a bad sign. The buckle on the front hood of that Amp Energy Chevrolet, and you kind of have to go back, Kyle, to a couple of weeks ago, that elimination race in the round of 8. Knopfsker had engine damage, was off the pace, was able to rely on other drivers running into issues to just barely make his way into this final 4. And the last thing you want to do here in the final race of the season is find yourself down on power. Certainly a lot of concern right now if you're Knopfsker, whether that thing's going to be able to stay up in the lead pack after repairs.
Yeah, and that happened fairly early on in that race, too. And looks like the same thing has happened to him again this week, unfortunately. But let's take a look at what happened here.
Stack up on the top.
Robert Spring, man, it's been a rough go of it for him tonight. And oh, man, that was a hard hit there for Knopfsker and for Terry Bombard in the 10.
Massive hit.
What sucks about that for Knopfsker, too, it looked like if that wreck stayed higher for just a split second longer, he probably would have been clear.
Man, he got hit hard twice because he went straight up into the wall and then had the front-on collision, too.
Look at how close he was to nearly getting by this thing.
He made a move. It looked like he was going to make it.
That hit the outside wall. Almost a 45-degree angle, 160 miles per hour, and you saw the visible damage afterwards. I would be deeply, deeply concerned about that car in terms of straight line speed in the draft, maybe even engine damage with the fact it was the front end that made the impact.
He may have been okay if he didn't have Terry Bombard to his inside right there, but the 10 car took a hard hit as well.
He did.
All this happened at 190 miles an hour.
Chuck McClure just got by that.
Yeah, Donnie Garrett was just below when the wreck was starting. Chuck McClure was just below when the wreck was in the beginning processes of the 74, beginning to come back down. And unfortunately for Knopfsker, he was the only one of those championship drivers that wasn't able to get through. And again, there's the little things, not only in just super speedway racing, but in other races overall as well, that you can kind of go back to in scenarios. Remember, I mentioned that Tim Knopfsker got a speeding penalty under that last caution. Had he not gotten the speeding penalty, would he have been further up in the field, maybe in the positions that Donnie Garrett, Chuck McClure were in, where he would have had a lane to be able to avoid rather than being directly behind it? Saw Ulysses Sandoval and Graham McDonald pit at the 1 to green. They were able to just barely get through. Josh Metallic, who got the lucky dog, was just barely able to get through.
Now this
Looks
is just
like they've done a pretty good repair job on Novsker, but the true test is going to be when the cars get up to speed.
see Kelly Causey on pit road.
And this is a lengthy stay for driver 00. Might be AFK because they serviced the car, but he's still sitting in his stall. I don't see an official out there holding him. And McClure coming to pit road, but he stayed out and
Toledo
led
lap.
a bonus point, Kyle. How
Yep.
often have
Oh,
we
boy.
talked
Oh,
about
yeah.
this season? Those bonus points. They may not seem like much, but in the long run, oh boy, are they a difference maker.
Could very well be the difference in winning a championship or just coming up short of winning one. I mean, like you said, 1 point. I mean, it doesn't, not a whole lot, but man, it can make a huge difference right there.
Trying to
see-
use the drone cam to push Kazi out of the pits. Not
Daryl
working.
is pushing legal on the last lap.
Now, this is just me talking here, but if I was in the position of Grant Wesley, I would be nervous right now, seeing that, all three of my competitors have had trouble. And maybe this is just me being paranoid, but I'd be thinking, something's bound to happen to me here. I mean, there's no way I can get through this unscathed. So, kind of curious what's going through the mind of Grant Wesley right now.
It's like it's like that feeling that you always get when you're in a race where there's a bunch of mechanical failures happening around you, and it's like, when is it going to happen to me next?
Yep.
I mean, Jack, you and I, we talked about this last night. Grant Wesley, he's not had a bad week, but he hasn't had, I think, the week he was looking for, coming into a scenario where he could potentially take every single championship, every weekly championship, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Go back to Monday night. He ended up finishing one position behind Jeremy Jeffries, lost out in the championship there by 3 points. Tuesday night was looking like he was going to pick up the victory in the iRacing series and got passed with 2 laps to go by Evan Perry. And then last night, yes, he won the championship, but did so finishing a lap down in the 12th position. So, and that was while running in second place, by the way, folks, when he had connection problems. So the performance has been there. The results have just not quite been what I think he was hoping for.
Exactly. And I mean, even when you go back to last night as well in the Aero 88 series, he won that championship, but that was only because that he had more than enough points to hold on to it, that no matter what happened to him over the course of the race, he was secure, and that race was pretty rough for him. You would think at this point he would have a checkered flag by now, but still nothing to be had yet so far for as good of a week as he's been having. So probably a little bit of extra motivation for him to finish the job here tonight.
Grant Wesley has led 145 laps this season. He leads the series in wins and top 10s this season. The only driver in the double digits of top 10s this season in a series that it is so difficult to remain consistent. And he restarted 9th place here with Robert Breedlove, Jeffrey Elliott, your front row. These two drivers did not come to pit lane under this caution.
Robert Breedlove got a good restart right there. Michael Norman right behind him. He was ready to go on that restart, pushed him right into the lead.
Oh,
now Michael goes to the outside here, trying to make a move for the lead himself.
Just an update from Ken Roberts. He's not in the race tonight. Unfortunately, he is in Ohio for a funeral.
Well, certainly, whatever the situation is, we send condolences out to Ken if it's a family member there. And looking forward to seeing him back on the racetrack when the 68th season kicks off in a few weeks' time. Like Kelly Causey did come back out onto the racetrack. He is 2 laps down right now, though. 2 drivers out of the race after that last incident, Perry Bond and Pat McCarskey. So we've got 36 drivers running, 35 of them on the lead lap, and it does not look like a good scenario right now for Tim Nofsker as he has lost touch with the lead pack. He's got Robert Spring trying to do everything he can, be a drafting partner to at least have Nofsker up to the highest speed he can possibly be, but there's definitely no suck up in that 0088 right now.
Somebody else I noticed is at the very back of that lead draft right there, the 4, Brian Schilling. One of the drivers battling it out for the Bracket Challenge Championship here tonight. Not sure what happened to him during the pit stop, or if he made a late pit stop to top off or something, but currently running 31st right here, last car on that in that lead pack.
Honestly, would not have been surprised if he pitted at the 1 degree to off. It's going to wreck ahead of him. Sandoval hard into the wall. Keith Bynum and Jeremy Jeffries just got sent him into the catch fence.
What's this? Sandoval up in the air. Jeremy Jeffries went for a ride. That was crazy at the back.
Keith Bynum, a lot of damage there as well.
Black smoke coming out of Ulysses'
Engine's
car.
dead.
That does not look good at all.
Bobby Farrell, I believe, got a piece of that wreck. John Godfrey, I think, was involved, and more than likely there's some other ones that we didn't list off that got bits and pieces of that wreck, as that was right in the center of the corner. And a couple of really hard hits taken in that one.
It started with the 1 and the 63.
Oh, they were fighting for the same piece of real estate, it looked like. A bit of a miscommunication. They didn't realize where they were in relation to one another on the racetrack, and then all hell broke loose from there.
Not sure if the 63 of Keith Bynum came down a little bit on Jeffries, or they just meet in the middle right there, but they got together, and Ulysses Sandoval, just an innocent victim in that deal.
Yeah, Jeffries gave a bit of a shove there to Keith Bynum going into turn 3. And as that moved Bynum up the racetrack, it opened up a little bit of space for Jeffries to try and stick his nose in. That was a 4-wide situation, and 63 comes down, not clear, and it was on from there, and some wild rides taken by both the 1 and the 96.
It looks like they were almost going to be 4 wide there, too.
Bernie Mobbs also got collected up in this. Didn't list his name there at the initial wreck. Craig Hagley also got a pretty significant piece of it in the 82 car.
Saw Tim Knofsker was able to get through that. I believe the other 3 championship contenders were happen.
And the good thing, if you're Tim Knofsker, is you're able to get through that. More than likely, there's going to be some damaged race cars as a result of that wreck that you can either battle or maybe be faster than. The problem is, none of them were the other Championship 4 drivers. He needs those other drivers, Garrett, Wesley, and McClure, to run into issues so that way they are back with him and keep him still in the fight. Remember, he came into this race 3rd of the Championship 4 drivers, 8 points back. Second straight night that Keith Bynum is going to have back-end damage on his number 63. That didn't stop him last night from being up inside the top 5 for most of that Charlotte race in the Aero 88 series. And what was it? Was it last week, Kyle, that Chuck McClure had no back end and he was still competitive? So that's not necessarily a death sentence. If you have that rear bumper taken off of your race car, you can still be competitive.
I think it was Jeremy Jeffries.
Oh, no, wait, you're right. Yep.
Actually, I think we saw it a couple of times. Jeremy Jeffries, and I think Rodney Sollins had the same thing happen to him a week or 2 prior to that. So, yeah, not kind of crazy how that's been happening a lot here lately.
Speaking of Jeremy, he's back out on the racetrack. We'll have to see how up to speed he is. Ulysses Sandoval, who we saw that black smoke billowing out from underneath his machine, he's taking his car to the garage area. So 3 drivers, at least at this point, will not reach the conclusion of tonight's season finale. Kelly Causey will get the lucky dog under this caution period, so he will be back to 1 lap down on the upcoming restart. The timing of this caution is extremely interesting as well, because when we go back green, these drivers should be able to make it the rest of the way on just 1 more pit stop. And we ended up seeing last week, until that caution shook everything up and had us with a shootout to close the race out. We ended up seeing green flag pit stops, execution on pit road be very crucial for the championship 4. And with what we've seen during the course of this season, regular season and playoffs, it would not surprise me to see the championship ultimately maybe come down to a green flag pit stop here tonight in the finale.
Well, we've seen just about everything imaginable happen this season. It's kind of like, let's just spin a wheel and see what it lands on tonight here for how the championship's going to be decided.
Feels like Talladega is the perfect track for that to happen as well. The racing gods will spin their wheel and see what else can possibly unfold and what other kind of chaos can be ended up causing here.
Well, Jeffrey Elliott, when we take the green flag, he'll be the first driver to hit the double digits in laps led here tonight. Currently at 9 laps led. He'll lead his 10th when he gets us back under green. Michael Norman will share the front row with him, with Greg Lovell, Denny Carroll, and Joe DeSpirito, the top 5. That's another driver that's kind of on that list of how has he not been to victory lane yet this season? Multi-time champion Joe DeSpirito. Mark Paglia will line up on the outside of row 3, and then Grant Wesley currently holding down the 7th position. 4th car on that inside line, Robert Breedlove, Brian Lovell coming off a great run last night in the Air 88 Series race. And Richard Martin are going to be your top 10. Donnie Garrett has made his way up to restart in the 13th position. Chuck McClure will be right behind him on the inside of row 8 in 15th place. And Tim Nofsker trying to soldier on with a damaged race car that's off the pace. Going to be 22nd on this upcoming restart. Good launch for both lanes. Michael with a slight advantage as they got to the start-finish line, so that actually means he'll lead that lap. So Jeffrey is yet to hit the double digits for laps led. We'll see if he can clear Michael off of turn 2 and get that 10th lap led the next time around.
Yeah, he's got the 880 pushing him right there. Michael got a good restart, maybe a little bit too good of a restart right there because Denny Carroll wasn't able to stay with him. Now the inside line has the advantage for the time being, but we've seen how powerful that outside line can be.
Can't get too anxious if you're up on that outside. Just kind of got to stay the course. If there's a window to shoot to the bottom, Michael might take advantage of that, but so far for now, just stay the course. Don't do anything too crazy from that position.
Somebody needs to tell Chuck McClure to have some patience and not jump out, because he immediately down the back straightaway took it 3 wide, and he's got help. Josh Metallic, Brian Schilling, now Richard Martin moves up there, Robert Breedlove, all seeing that third line moving, and they want to be a part of it.
It's strange to see Jeffrey Elliott not opt for that higher line on a restart. Wow, that was a move by Denny. Holy moly.
Woo.
Boy, everybody jumped up in front of him right there. I was wondering.
Where was that opportunity, like I was just talking about?
I was wondering who was going to be the first one to do that right there, and everybody had the same thing in mind.
No love for the middle lane, and that sends Bob Seminara to the back of the pack. Or at least to the middle of the pack there, as he was put in the sucker hole. Oh, we are slight. Did somebody remind these guys that we're just approaching halfway? These are moves we normally see on the final lap.
Is there a bonus they're giving out for the leader at halfway? I know NASCAR used to do that quite a bit back in the day. They'd give out like $10,000 to the leader at halfway, but I don't think they do anything like that here in RTG.
RTG gives fancy
Monday
points.
night's the only halfway point stage points they give out for a series here in RTG.
Oh boy, they are
to the top for Michael.
Must be. How many moves can you make in a lap? Bonus points for that, too.
The question is, how many moves can you make successfully here, too? I mean, this is up at the front of the field that we're talking about. We've already seen a couple of massive wrecks that started at the middle of the pack. If we end up having something happen here at the front of the field, it's going to be even tougher for some of those playoff drivers to make sure that they're not in the vicinity when and if it breaks out.
It's funny, too. Everybody who's jockeying for positions back there ended up fading off. That bottom line's not doing it, and it drove away from everybody. And like I was saying there before, too, to see Jeffrey Elliott not, as leader on a restart, you get lane choice. He decided to stay on the bottom. It was definitely a good choice in that scenario.
Definitely was.
Usually he'll switch.
See, Greg Palmer went from the inside up to that middle lane right there in front of Michael Norman. Going to be leading that lane now.
Greg Palmer undoubtedly had one of the toughest first rounds of the playoffs.
Oh, Wesley, boy, that was an aggressive move. Just got in front of Palmer. Now he's going to lead that middle line.
I mean, this is the thing, right? Like, you cannot race scared, because if you do, you're probably going to be more prone to make a mistake than if you don't race scared. But specifically for the Championship 4, it's that risk reward, right? Like, right now for Grant Wesley, it is certainly paying off. Leading that outside line side by side with Brian Lovell, trying to get up alongside of Joe DeSpirito for third place. But then you kind of have to think to yourself, if this move goes wrong and I find myself into the outside wall, was it worth it?
He wants to get up there, get him a bonus point right there.
It's the desperation of being in the championship battle, too.
It's one of the advantages that he had from winning last week. He got 3 extra bonus points for winning that thing.
I guess I shouldn't say desperation, but definitely, that sense of urgency. You feel like the move is more necessary to make, knowing the implications that can come from, again, the risk versus reward thing, like you were just talking about, Seth, how it can be a lot more, there can be a lot more payoff for if that move is successful. But again, you make a mistake, that could undo your season.
That's a big move there from Rodney Sollins. Jumped up from the bottom, jumping up into that middle line. He has Randy Waugh behind him. But now he abandons Randy, and Randy's not stuck in the middle.
We had Alan, our chat, say when we were talking about what Talladega's like, he says it's a white-knuckle cruise. And it didn't look like it was a cruise right there for Rodney Sullins. That big move up the middle, able to pick up a couple of spots before now finding his way down to the inside line. And look who's right ahead of him there, that 33 of Tim Anderson. Let's remember back just prior to the playoffs, Tim Anderson crossed the start-finish line in first, but he ended up causing a wreck on the back straightaway that ultimately gave him a post-race EOL. Bob Seminara was declared the race winner. You think about somebody that's out here looking for a little redemption before the season comes to a close. I think Tim Anderson would be one of those drivers.
He's been thinking about that ever since that happened, want to go out there and make up for it. So he's having a good run so far right now. Currently, he had scored in the 6th position last time by.
Important battle right here for 5th place. These two were side by side, wheel to wheel, coming to the checkered flag 1 week ago. They're side by side for 5th right now. Grant Wesley on the top, Donnie Garrett on the bottom.
That's exactly how they were side by side too.
For Donnie, he needs to finish 6 positions ahead of Grant Wesley, or 5 positions ahead with a lap led, and not have Grant lead a lap here tonight. Again, you mentioned, Kyle, those crucial 3 bonus points for Grant winning last week. If he hadn't won, let's say the 2 of them were side by side for 2nd place last week, we'd be talking about a 2-point difference between Garrett and Grant Wesley, which would have made it a little bit easier to get a couple of spots ahead of the 88. Now you kind of have to double the positions he finishes ahead of Grant, due to the fact of Grant getting that checkered flag last week puts a little bit more pressure on Donnie as well as Tim and Chuck.
Yeah, but we heard Grant say in his post-race interview last week that he's not thinking about those 3 extra bonus points that he got for winning. That's just not even in his mind right now. So kind of interesting. I think I would feel a little bit more comfortable with those bonus points, but
DeSpirito to the lead.
Yeah, we've seen Joe run pretty much the entirety of the season. I believe he missed 1 race, but 19th in the points coming into this final race of the season. Only 1 top 5, 4 top 10s. These are not usual Joe DeSpirito numbers, and as mentioned, a multi-time champion of the series. But again, the unpredictability of super speedway racing, sometimes it's your year and sometimes it's not. Certainly for Joe DeSpirito and a number of other drivers that have struggled this season, even if you don't win tonight, you'd like to finish out this final race of season 67 on a high note, because maybe then that can help you build momentum for the start of season 68.
That's definitely in the back of their mind. I'd be surprised if they change mods from what we've seen from this season. It's been outstanding. So some of these guys could maybe use this as maybe a test session or something to try to, like you said, try to build some momentum heading into next season.
What is it, only a couple weeks break between this and season 68? That's not a whole lot of time off, so that momentum, it's pretty likely that momentum has a better opportunity to stay alive if you get a win at the end of the season to carry over to next.
How about you mentioned a little bit of practice for the upcoming season? How about a little bit of practice for those that are already eligible for the Super Speedway All-Star race on April 30th? Same mod, same track here tonight, going to be run in that event.
I was just about to mention that, actually. The Super Speedway All-Star race, too, a good chance to keep that momentum alive, that practice alive as well. Any track time, even in an exhibition race, it's good to have that track time because you can really learn the way a racetrack works, the way different drivers work if you haven't really raced around them before or as often as you have against some others. So that All-Star race, too, it might not just be all for show.
Over the last couple of laps, we've had a couple of drivers peel off the racetrack onto pit road and actually make the left-hand turn to the garage area. A couple of them damaged, involved in some of the earlier incidents. Terry Bombard, about 4 laps ago, going to finish in the 35th position. Craig Hagley, I believe just the previous lap, came to pit road into the garage area. He will be 34th, and Jeffrey Elliott, who we saw out in front leading 10 laps here tonight. Actually, correction on that, 16 laps out in front. Looks like he may have run until the fuel tank was empty and then came to pit road, and he has parked it for the night. So he will finish in the 33rd position.
It's quite bizarre because you mentioned he was up front for quite a bit of this race, but not sure what happened there.
I wonder if something happened at home, maybe. Sometimes I wonder, if something happens in the house or he's got to go. I've seen drivers have to do that. Something comes up and you got to leave.
It's funny when you think about it. We watch the drivers out here on the racetrack. You kind of forget the fact that they're racing from the comfort of their own homes. I remember there was a race I was in. I believe it was a super speedway race. Big wreck took place. And the driver that caused it said, "Sorry, guys, my cat just jumped up in my lap."
Well, that's why you don't let your cat in your room when you're in the middle of a race.
Hey, if the cat wants to go somewhere, the cat will go somewhere.
Exactly.
If a cat really, really wants to get the job done, he'll do it.
Seeing a little indecision here. Almost looks like Despirito and Wesley want to go to the bottom. We're seeing some other drivers behind them do the same. Now they all will head down to the inside line. And the reason why I was expecting to see them maybe stay committed there and was surprised they were straddling that middle line is we're closing in on 20 laps to go. We know that about the median of 19 laps is how far they can make it on a full tank of fuel. We could end up seeing drivers maybe come to pit road within the next 5 laps, and then they'd be good to make it the rest of the way here tonight if we continue to run under green flag conditions. Grant's in the best spot right now. Just riding behind Despirito in second. Chuck McClure is the second highest running of the final 4. Just inside the top 10 in 9th last time by. Donnie Garrett's trying to get back into the top 10. He's 14th at the moment. And Tim Nofsker, who was involved in an earlier wreck, a lot of front-end damage, obviously off the pace. He is currently running back in a group of 4, along with Bobby Farrell, Jeremy Jeffries, and Robert Spring, who have all had their own adventures here tonight, involved in a couple of our cautions. And he is currently holding down the 29th position. So right now, it's not as much about Tim Nofsker mounting a comeback. It's about him hoping that the other Championship 4 drivers have some problems in these final 22 laps. The fact that Jeremy's car is still out there and actually, what is he turning? He's turning at 194 miles per hour still. We saw that car airborne.
Pretty sure Michael has the broadcast on listening to us here because you talked about green flag pit stops coming up. He said he's about, last lap he said he was 5 laps away. Now he's about 3.5 laps, I would say, from pitting now. So
we got some drivers pitting this time by, I'm pretty sure. Saw Rodney Sullins jump to the outside, so it might be some drivers right in front of him that indicated they were coming to pit lane. Well, doesn't look like that's the case here. I thought I saw some radios lighting up. Maybe some fake outs?
Possibly. They are all running on the bottom right now, or at least the majority of the cars are running on the bottom. That feels like pit road formation.
And
I'm starting to see the radios light up now.
A big reason why we put a lot of emphasis on green flag pit stops here in this series specifically is we end up seeing large numbers of drivers come down pit road together, and sometimes mistakes caused by other drivers can sweep you up into it. So that's something that the playoff drivers, the championship drivers, have to be aware of here.
Kelly Causey, the only one.
And we've seen a number of incidents coming to pit road this season.
And a number of them have not necessarily brought out a caution either. Kelly was in one of the free pass positions. He and Mike Mangialardi, the only two drivers, one lap down. They have two lucky dogs under each caution. Now we got some drivers that are pitting. Richard Martin, like John Godfrey, Cy Jones, Bernie Mobbs, Keith Bynum. DeSpirito, the leader, said he's coming in.
Wesley stays out. Gonna get a bonus point. Donnie Garrett pitting this time.
Donnie's going to get into his stall. Remember, with the drivers, the Championship 4 agreeing to start the rear of the field, that means they have the last 4 pit stalls on pit road. So they have to get the thing really woed down, not just to get to the 55-mile-per-hour pit speed, to make sure that they hit their marks, hit that pit board, and don't overshoot their stall for the green flag pit stop. You mentioned, Kyle, that valuable bonus point there for Grant Wesley. That counters the bonus point lap led by Chuck McClure. It takes away that advantage.
Chuck McClure also stayed out this time by. And, okay, here comes Wesley.
Big group of cars. McClure is a part of this.
Keep an eye on that pit road entry. Like they're all staying.
Oh, Grant with a little overshoot. Had to back it up. It's like he's going to go fuel only. McClure behind him is going to go at least right side tires. Chuck down and away, and he's actually going to beat the 88 off of pit road. The question is going to be by how many positions, though? Not sure exactly who's going to cycle out to the race lead. Potentially the 24 of Joe DeSpirito, as he, Greg Palmer, and Donnie Garrett have found themselves in a nice, tight 3-car pack. And boy, they're going to have to go high, wide, and handsome because they're double wide coming off of pit lane.
And they get by them all. No problem.
That's huge, at least for the moment, for Donnie Garrett, because that would put him, I believe, based off of the current running order, if not tied with Grant Wesley, 1 point ahead of him.
Oh, Wesley gets around
by Mark Paglia.
Oh, goodness.
Mother drivers sliding down to the inside. It looked like Robert Breedlove was one of them.
That's going to be fine, I think.
Didn't hit anything.
Ooh.
Talk about huge championship implications,
man.
though. That's our championship leader going around. There's not a whole lot of time left to make up positions either.
I was focused on Wesley for like 2 laps. I pulled the camera off of him, and that happened.
Yeah, he was trying to get around the outside of Mark Paglia, and I think Mark just kind of pushed up off the corner. I don't know if Grant came down a little bit there trying to follow Rodney Sullins. Whatever the case, the two make contact.
You know what, though? Yellow came out, and I'm looking at maybe just tires. No real impact.
No, he should be okay. The problem, though, for Grant is the fact that both Donnie Garrett and Chuck McClure cycled out ahead of him. So he'd already lost positions to them after the green flag pit stop. Now with this spin, he's going to start even further towards the back. We know that Grant's one of the best in cutting his way up through the field. The question is, how many laps is he going to have to work with?
And nobody else needs to pit. Everybody already made their stop.
Correct.
Were those guys, Garrett, was that pack almost a lap down? Because they were creeping on those guys.
They were the leaders. They had cycled out to the top 3 positions.
Oh, they cycled to the top. Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. Because it was showing, I was seeing, I think it was Denny was being billed as first. But yeah, they hadn't come to the line to reset it all. You see the top right corner of the screen there. Wesley, Garrett, Nofsker, and McClure. Those are the standings as of 13 races. This is race 14.
Robert Breedlove right now is being shown with a black flag. I'm pretty sure that's going to get cleared because he spun down across the pit road commitment line when he locked him up to avoid Grant. I believe Randy Waugh
Luigi
was the other driver that spun down to the inside. I don't believe either driver made contact with each other or contact with the wall, so they should be okay here as well. And this yellow is going to put everybody back on the lead lap. We only had 2 lap down machines at the time that caution flew. Kelly Causey, Mike Mangialardi, 1 lap down each, so they will get those laps back. And they'll get an opportunity here with what's going to be a little less than 15 to go. An opportunity to work their way back forward and maybe finish better than where they would have finished had this thing gone green to the end. So right now, if we had live points, Donnie Garrett in the 3rd position would be your current points leader. And it looks like he would have, I believe, 5 points. Nope, correction on that. He would have 7 points in hand over Chuck McClure, who would right now be in 2nd. Now, a lot obviously can change between now and the end of the race, but let's just assume that Donnie Garrett holds on to that 3rd position the rest of this race. For Grant Wesley, he's got to work his way up through the field and at least finish, I believe it is in the 10th position to take this championship, a top 10, and he would be good to still take this title here this evening. Problem is, right now, he's going to be restarting back outside of the top 20 in 22nd place.
How aggressive is Donnie Garrett going to be here? Is he thinking, you know what, I'm in a pretty good spot right now, I don't really need to do anything? Or is he thinking, you know what, there's a chance I can get up here and, really help my cause here, get up here and take the lead and possibly win this race? Like, what do you do in that situation?
I really don't know because we're late enough in the race now where you don't have to necessarily. You have to lead laps because all the lap-led bonus points will certainly help your cause too. So I kind of feel like you want to push it and go for the lead, but at the same time, if you don't, I don't really know what his mentality is. Does he want to be the one giving the push in the last lap? Does he want to be the one being pushed? I feel like he, at the very least, wants to stay up near the front. Don't want to make a mistake that drops him too far back to the pack, but at the same time, again, all the lap-led bonus points are going to really help you at this point as well. So you can get to the lead, you might as well go for it.
I really think it depends on the situation as well. Obviously, right now for Donnie Garrett, he's setting the benchmark of where he is in relation of specifically the 17 and the 88. Tim Nofsker is damaged and off the pace, so it's unlikely he's going to be able to get into the championship fight here in the closing stages. I think if you're Donnie Garrett, who's always seemed to have the moniker top 5, top 10 him to death, rely on consistency, if the 88 stays outside of the top 10, I think he's content to ride right where he is. But if he starts to see Grant picking his way through the field, making his way back up to the front, we've seen what Donnie Garrett can do in the clutch. He needed to win to get into the playoffs. He did so in the regular season finale. He was in the clutch in the final elimination race to get into the final four. What did he do? He won that race to get into this championship hunt. So I think it's really going to depend here based off of the running position of both Chuck and Grant as to whether Donnie Garrett goes into that top 5, maybe salvage a top 5 mode, or if he goes into clutch Donnie Garrett mode again. Causey Mangialardi get their laps back, and we will be going back green with 13 laps to go here tonight in the finale of Season 67 of the Talladega Challenge Series. A couple of drivers up here at the front that are still sitting with a 0 in the win column. Multiple victories between the two of them on Thursday nights, but not yet won this season. Joe DeSpirito and Greg Palmer, a couple of Chevrolet bow ties on that front row. It's actually all Chevys for the entire first 3 rows, actually the entire top 7, with Donnie Garrett, current championship points leader, in 3rd place, Denny Carroll 4th, Josh Metallic there in 5th. Great comeback after he lost that lap earlier due to connection issues. Chuck McClure still in the hunt, looking for back-to-back championships in 6th. Rodney Sullivan 7th with Greg Lovell, Brian Lovell, and Michael Norman, the top 10.
Update from Jeffrey Elliott. He has a busy day tomorrow, so he had to go to bed. He was tired.
Well, there you go.
Yep.
Happens to all of us.
He's got stuff to do, so you know what? Pull over, go to bed.
A big question here, guys. We've ended up seeing Garrett, McClure, and Nosker all involved in incidents here tonight when they were running around the mid-pack area. Grant Wesley, for the most part, when those incidents occurred, was able to either snake his way through or be up in front of it. Now being towards the back of the pack here, middle of this group, are we done with cautions? Is the 88 completely out of the woods yet?
I would be surprised if we're done with cautions the way this race has been going, but we'll definitely see.
This late in the race, knowing the nature of this racetrack, I would definitely not be surprised if we had a big one at some point.
You mean another big one?
How big can we get? I don't know if I want to know the answer.
I was going to say, I don't think you want to challenge the drivers on that.
No.
We had one. Oh, I can't remember where it was. I broadcast so many. It happened in the 3rd row. But the 3rd row got launched forward and took out the front row. And I believe every single car on the field was pretty much involved.
Find him on the bottom here. He is trying to keep a hold of it. Looks like he's going to do it. What a save.
Could have been
Great
a lot worse.
Save there by him. Didn't get a very good restart there. Then found himself almost on the apron 4 wide going into turn 1. And again, let's remember too, a race victory for Donnie Garrett. You'd have to go back to the drawing board in terms of the maths. We talked about the 3 bonus points Grant Wesley got for the victory last week. Donnie would get 3 bonus points added to his total if he won here tonight. 3 points means 3 positions gained on Grant Wesley and Chuck McClure.
I don't know. I don't know who led that lap there. That was...
Scoring says the 24, but by how much?
Zeros. I can't see the 3rd one.
Waiting to see if my scoring will
0.00. You'd have to push escape and go back, I think.
5 1,000ths. 1,000th closer than last week's finale finish. Or last week's finish.
Here comes Chuck McClure making the 3rd line. He's got Michael Norman, Bob Seminara, and others. And look at Grant Wesley already. He's the 4th car in line. 4th or 5th car in line on that outside line. Wasting no time trying to get back to the front.
3 wide, 3 rows deep. Make it 4 rows deep. Glenn Harris in the middle back there. Lure's already got a bonus point. So too does Grant Wesley. Donnie Garrett still looking for that bonus point. Nearly got it the lap prior, but now he's starting to go backwards in the middle.
God.
And he's going to get hit by Bernie Mobbs. Michael Norman catches air up and over. Oh my goodness. Doug Hewlett just got sent up into the stratosphere, and Garrett with a big hit to the inside wall.
Michael Norman was doing a wheelie.
Racing back.
Grant Wesley's towards the back here. I'm not sure if he maybe got a piece of this incident. We'll have to check on the replay in a moment as Joe DeSpirito is going to bring them back to the stripe. And this championship, dependent on if the 88 was involved or not, may have just fallen into last year's championship leader's lap, Chuck McClure.
I cannot believe that just happened.
Whew.
That was, well, I said I didn't want to find, I'm not sure I wanted to find out how big we could get, and I feel like we kind of did there.
So Tim Anderson may have pushed up into Donnie, sent him up into Michael, and Michael got some air under that 30 to 23. And Doug Helick, the same thing.
I can't believe Helick just popped up like that. It felt like that was out of nowhere.
Grant Wesley did get a piece of this incident. He was involved in the stack up on the outside line, but I think for the most part he was able to sneak his way through with minimal to no damage. The big hits taken in that one, and more than likely, I would assume, with not only the contact to the outside wall, but then the contact afterwards in the inside wall, it may come down now between two drivers for this championship, the 17 and the 88. Donnie Garrett may have taken quite a bit of significant damage in this one.
The Helick flip is similar to that. I think we saw Rodney in that same scenario. I think it was with Dennis McCarthy or something. There was a car rolling and then got into the car rolling and just sort of tossed him like a catapult.
Michael Norm was in the middle of that barrel roll.
Yes,
and,
yes,
as you say, 23 just kind of caught him with the splitter as he was in that rotation.
Yeah, I suplexed him. Not intentionally, but
you didn't pin him for the 1-2-3.
yeah.
He was busy doing a wheelie.
It reminded me of the Kyle Matthews myself moment in that one thing.
That camera angle right there is pretty sweet because you
Yeah,
can't see Helick from this camera angle. And then
Suddenly he's
Michael's car just launches him. Looks like a great white shark breaching. That's crazy.
I hate it for you there,
Oh,
Michael. You
man.
had a good run going, led some of it here tonight, and just wrong place, wrong time, it looked like.
Yeah, the 033 just pushed up from the inside. You know how when you get three wide, if you pinch enough, it just happens because you're tight off at the corner in the bottom. I was on the same tires for that entire race. That green flag pit stop. I was thinking about taking two rights, and I was like, no, better not. And it was the best decision I made.
Well, I didn't see any visible damage to the 77, but man, he took a couple of shots right there. I can't imagine he's up to full speed right now.
Yeah, we'll have to certainly wait and see. As we mentioned, aerodynamics on the race cars, specifically at super speedways, are really finicky. Sometimes you're just about a mile per hour or two off. As long as you have somebody behind you pushing you, you should be okay to stay up in the lead pack. But Donnie's in the same situation that Grant was earlier, where now he's going to be at the rear of the field, have to work his way forward, even if that car is up to full song, and he's going to have less laps to work with now than Grant did on the previous restart.
See the 033 coming to pit road. I don't know if that's a penalty or what there, but
I believe that is the 033 taking the claim for the incident, pitting the second time by. And our points lead for the championship, it's flip-flopped a couple of times here tonight. Now, Chuck McClure is at the top of the board in terms of the live standings. He would, right now, if my math is correct, he would have, believe, 3 points up on Grant Wesley, who's going to restart back in 19th to McClure's 6th. Donnie Garrett going to be back in 27th, and Tim Nofsker still soldiering on there. He's in 20th place. May not be done. We may see another caution here involving the championship 4. Nofsker is not out of it yet. Again, this kind of reminds me of what he did a couple of weeks ago Obviously a difficult situation, involved in the wreck, but controlled what he could control. Managed to keep his car in the lead lap by the end of the night, getting multiple free passes with those yellow flags, and here tonight he's done the same thing. Yes, that car is off the pace, but he's yet to fall off the lead lap, still keeping himself at least in the hunt. And one driver we have not really called that much here tonight, which is, I guess, a good thing because he hasn't been involved in any of the incidents, is Brian Schilling. Remember, he is battling with Grant Wesley for that Bracket Challenge Championship. Right now, he's going to restart in the 10th position with Grant back in 19th. So Brian Schilling currently ahead of his adversary for the Bracket Challenge Championship here in Season 67. As we're going to have 7 laps to go on this upcoming restart. I don't dare say the final restart of the night because at this point in time, who knows?
I noticed on that last restart we had, Brian Schilling restarted right in front of Grant Wesley. So, I mean, just kind of, we talk about this all the time. If there's one person you're racing, it's like you can't get away from them.
Never fails.
And season number 67 has had 56 different drivers race. Seems like a low
incredible
number,
turnouts. I mean, up until last week, we had a streak where drivers were being sent home or had completely filled up the grid.
Well, and even today we had 38.
I was completely committed to pushing that 17 before that happened.
What are you drinking?
Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola.
Be sponsored?
No. Ooh, the 24 wasn't able to get clear of the 39. Gonna open up that outside lane to push. One of the biggest things I've noticed this entire race, that right there, as soon as the outside lane gets going, there's a third lane that forms, and it just completely destroys the middle lane. That's how I got stuck in the sucker hole earlier in this race, is because they started making the third lane, and then it just kills the middle lane's momentum.
Grant Wesley just shot to the bottom, had plenty of space on the racetrack, made the move happen.
Wonder if Josh decides to go to the high line to get jumping in front of McClure here.
The outside lane dies out. The middle lane can make a comeback here.
Well, right now, McClure, who went up to that third lane, it hasn't worked out for him as he's going backwards. Wesley is coming forwards, and he's within striking distance right now. He's within that buffer, the 8-point buffer between him and Chuck coming into this race. Alongside of him here, that is Grant Wesley, now back in the points lead.
Wonder what the emotions are like for these two when they look at each other's left or right and they see that their championship competitor is right next to them.
Greg Palmer trying to make a move there on that outside line for 5th place. Alongside of Billy Elliser. How about Billy tonight? Great run in that Coors Light Chevrolet. He's kept his nose clean this evening and might end out season 67 with a really good run. Right ahead of him, Bernie Mobbs in that silver Red Bull machine. There's a lot of drivers up here that we haven't seen go to victory lane in a while, or may still be searching for their first win of their career here on Thursday nights, that have a shot of it here in this final race of the season.
They've killed that outside lane, so now the middle lane's going to be coming up through here.
Say Bernie Mobbs was involved in one of the earlier cautions here tonight. Made a nice recovery so far, running in the top 5.
Ooh, a little loose there for Billy. Hopefully I didn't just commentator curse him right there.
Yeah, but that's now going to kill the the low lane's momentum a little bit.
It's like Donnie Garrett.
Oh,
stayed in that wreck.
my.
He's off the pace.
Rodney Solins had him a moment there.
That was a late block by Joe.
Rodney Solins was not the only one who had a moment there.
Well, it was a late block by Joe that almost was a catastrophe. I don't think the 22 is going to take very kindly to that.
Right now, if you're Donnie Garrett and Tim Nofsker, running back behind this lead group off the pace. You're hoping to maybe see a wreck that you can be able to pick your way through, and you're hoping that wreck involves the 17 and the 88. Right now for Chuck McClure, the magic number is 11. He needs to finish 11 positions ahead of Grant Wesley to take this championship. Last time by, he was scored in 9th. Grant was scored in 14th. Actually, correction, make that 15th. So he needs Grant to lose a little bit more, or he needs to gain a little bit more.
Grant Wesley is side by side with Brian Schilling right now, his opponent in the bracket challenge. Where it just was there. He's currently slightly ahead of him, but they were just side by side.
The problem for both of them is they're kind of boxed in on the top right now. They don't really have any room to gain positions or lose positions right now. I feel like both of them are hoping that maybe some kind of space opens up on the bottom and they can jump to the low side and try to make something happen there, because there's nowhere to really go right now.
If the 22 dives, though, and the 39 goes with them, we'll have a real battle for first place.
Question is when.
We just hit the stripe for 2 to go, so we're going to have a battle regardless.
And I'm almost wondering right now, if you're Chuck McClure, if that third lane is available, you might take it. Actually, Grant's going to go up there. Whoa, look at that!
He's going to get hung out to dry.
Does you think I'm pushing you to the front? No, we're battling for the bracket challenge, my friend.
Oh, but then the 17 decides to go high, too.
This is what he wanted to see, though, because now Grant's going to lose all that position.
Yes, he is.
Almost wonder if the 17 is going to be the car that wants to make that jump to the bottom.
And now they're going to go to the
There he
inside.
goes.
There he
There it
goes.
And they get to the start-finish line
It's
here.
either
Then
3
whatever
wide for
happens,
third.
happens. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, but
Spirito, the leader,
17's
white
all by
flag.
17's kind of all by himself right now.
McClure might be looking for those 3 bonus points to winning this race, but he's got to get the help, and it's not there.
Oh, there
Now
comes
he's
the
got help in
third
the
lane.
44.
Oh, man.
Rodney Solids to the outside.
Hey, nothing to lose for these guys, all wanting that final checkered flag of the season. I guess it's bring home the checkered flag of the steering wheel right now.
McClure 3 wide for third again.
He's got third, and Grant's fighting for back there in the middle lane. I don't know if it's going to be 11 cars.
Oh, Chuck's
Oh,
looking low
he's
on
got there, he's got
Craig.
it.
Is
Chuck
he
on the
there?
bottom.
On the yellow line.
Despirito's going to win this race.
Gonna win. McClure's
got
going to get
third.
third. Where
88
did
got
Grant
16th.
cross the line?
16th. He got 16th. The 88 16.
Yeah, that's not enough.
That's not enough. Chuck got the championship.
Wow.
Unbelievable. Chuck McClure came into this race with the biggest deficit of the 4 drivers. He finished 8th last week, and what was he 11 points behind?
Kyle, I think you hit on something earlier on tonight.
13 spots. The 17 finished 13 spots ahead of the 88, and give or take any bonus points for lap sled.
Kyle, you mentioned Grant last week started dead last of the entire field, went on to win the race. Chuck McClure in the random qualifying draw, dead last off the grid, going to take the championship tonight.
Man,
The spirit of going in
distant...
reverse makes my checkered flag animation look very peculiar.
You know,
Now everybody knows I'm a fraud now.
You've been exposed.
I totally, what was I going to say? I just lost I had a stroke.
Lost the train of thought in the commentary, but not great.
Yeah.
The back end is completely destroyed on that 24. I'm not sure what happened to him there during the burnout.
Was an aftermath,
aggressive
yeah.
congratulations, man.
Yeah.
At some point,
Now I
at some
remember what I
point,
was
I
gonna
want to
say.
see that move again that happened with Grant Wesley, because that ended up being the championship decider. The fact that he got forced up to the high side, he basically got baited into going up high, and then he was left out to dry, lost all that time, and that ultimately cost him the title.
Yeah, the problem for Grant was he was in 2 battles tonight. He was in the championship battle, and he was in the bracket challenge championship battle as well. The driver that went up there on that third line with him was Brian Schilling, the driver that he's battling for that bracket challenge title, and Brian was not going to finish behind him. That's what got him all by himself in that third lane.
You can feel, you probably feel all the emotions right there for Grant Wesley. There's got to be a lot of frustration knowing exactly what happened, and at that point, you just got to do everything you can to try to work your way to one of the lower lanes, force your way up the pack. He certainly tried it, but Chuck McClure, he probably knew what was happening outside of his rearview window, and at that point, he hit the gas. He knew exactly what he was doing, so that was some great racing by that 17 car to secure himself the title.
And in that situation, too, I mean, we can look at it here and see that Grant crossed in 16th, so all McClure needed to do was finish 5th place or better. But he doesn't know how many spots Grant might end up gaining, even here off of turn 4 down to the start-finish line. So he went for every position possible, even to the point he had his left sides down there on that yellow line, trying to keep the thing from spinning around as he tried to take second from Greg Palmer.
I will say he's probably not even thinking about Grant Wesley in this moment. He's thinking, I've got a shot for the win, I'm going to go for it. And he didn't quite get it, but he was damn close.
Yeah, he looked a bit unstable a couple of times there, coming to get the checkered flag there. I was quite nervous for him right there, but thankfully for him, nothing happened, and he's going to go back-to-back here in the Talladega Challenge as the champion.
Talk about getting all you can get, and then some.
Talk about a burnout. Oh my God. I can't see anything. I'm trying to get pictures. There's like 3 guys on the front straight just lighting them up.
Ryan Chevrolet takes the Knights, gets the Bracket Challenge Championship, the overall championship, and the race victory.
Brian Schilling finished 15th, just one spot ahead of Grant Wesley to take the Bracket Challenge.
Unbelievable.
Schilling just blew his motor up. Now he's spewing black smoke in with the white smoke.
Wow.
The tires are still on the 24 somehow. He's been doing burnout for the last 5 minutes.
Joe DeSpirito finally finds his way back to victory lane. Brian Schilling, I want to say he came into this season the defending champion of the Bracket Challenge. He either was the season 66 or the season 65 Bracket Challenge champion. Gonna lock up another of those. And Chuck McClure. It's tough enough to win one championship here. He's got multiple coming into this season, and now he can say he's gone back to back between season 66 and season 67. And let's not forget, Kyle, it took quite a while for us to even see Chuck McClure find victory lane. He got into the playoffs on consistency and then ended up picking up a victory in the first round of the playoffs. So it took him a little bit of time to be able to find this championship form, but boy, did it happen at the right time.
Yeah, had a pretty quiet but solid season all around, and just, peaked at the right time, and look what happened.
Well, much like we've been doing during the course of this week, we're going to go a little bit out of order in who we interview. Chuck McClure finishing on the podium here tonight, but we're going to be saving the overall champion for one of our last interviews. We're also going to be dialing up the Bracket Challenge champion, Brian Schilling, in a little bit, but we're going to first kick things off with the other drivers that finished on the podium and move our way up to our race winner. So let's see if we can dial up the driver that brought it home P2 here tonight, Greg Palmer. Hey, Greg, it's the guys up here in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
I got you.
Wild race here tonight. We knew it was going to be. Talladega never disappoints, but a lot of drivers here this evening not in the hunt for the championship and wanting that final checkered flag of the season. No exception. Have had a bit of a struggling playoffs here. Had an opportunity to maybe end out this season with the final victory of season 67. What little more could you have done right there on those final couple of laps to get around the 24? Because there was a lot of stuff happening in the rearview mirror at the same time.
Maybe a little jet fuel there, Seth. Hey, look, it is what it is. I tried my best. I started from 36, worked my way up, fell back again, but just trying to make the right decisions at the right time. I mean, stay low, go high. I don't want to block anybody, the upper lane. I don't want to get there too late and cause something because, hey, this is the last race and the championship was up with 4 drivers. So I was cautious, but then again, I really wanted to win.
Was there a different feeling in the field overall here tonight with different drivers having the different goals, this being the last race of the season? And was your race mentality here tonight maybe a little bit different than what it would have been, say, about 3-4 races ago?
Oh, definitely a different mentality. I was just in it just to win it. I mean, and if Chuck was around me or Donnie or Grant they were around me, I'll let them race their race. If I'm behind them, I'll give them a push. But I'm in it for them, and I'm in it for myself. So whenever they were around me, I'd help any one of them.
We were talking about the fact that, even a good finish here tonight can maybe do something in helping in terms of momentum going into the new season, season 68. We know we're going to see you in a couple of weeks' time. You're already locked into the Super Speedway All-Star race as well. So, with the good finish here tonight, what does that do for the confidence level? Maybe with maybe any difference in mentality between this season going into the brand new season as you look to fight your way once again back into the playoffs?
Have better luck. It just seems this season Thursdays wasn't really my night. Got caught up in a few. It was just bad luck and stuff, But I was looking forward to both All-Star races, but I won't be in the country. I'll be out of the country, so I'm giving up my seat. It's up to the admins to see who races in those races.
Unfortunately, we won't see you there, but we're looking forward to seeing you be able to hopefully ride this momentum into season 68. Congratulations on the great run here tonight, Greg. And before we let you go, floor is yours for thank you, sponsors, and shoutouts.
Oh, I got to thank everybody. Oh, you guys. Oh, geez. Tarnation and Flat Out, both of you guys. Great calling all year, man. All year. And previous. Admins here, all the admins. Where do I start? Jeremy, Rodney, Josh, Brian, Tim, the man, Sean, everybody, Grant. Great season, like always. This is the premier league to race in sim racing. There's no place that's better than here. The drivers too, man. Good luck. Congratulations to Despirito. It was a nice race with the guys up there, McClure. Having a great time here. My teammates, Rodney and Craig and Kelly, John, Dennis, guys I run with all year. I'm looking forward to next season, and hopefully we can be in a conversation next year in the playoffs.
Absolutely. Well, a great way to cap off the season for you, Greg. Once again, congratulations on your second place here this evening in the finale, and we look forward to seeing you go back to it and hopefully be able to maybe even get that one position better the next time we begin the 68th season of the Talladega Challenge Series in a few weeks' time.
Hey, let's see what happens. Hopefully I'll have better luck. Thanks, Kyle. Mike. Mike's up in the booth now. Thanks, Seth, Blaine, Jack. You guys are fun, man. Thank you.
Thanks, Greg.
Absolutely. That's Greg Palmer. He's your second place finisher here tonight at Talladega. Coming up just one spot shy of getting his first checkered flag of the season. That was his first top 5 of the season. So really nice to see him be able to end out what's been a struggling season 67 on a high note. Let's dial up a driver that coming into tonight had a 0 in the win column. Not the case here leaving season 67. Let's get a hold of tonight's race winner, Joe DeSpirito. Hey, Joe, it's the guys up here in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Hey, guys, I got you. How you doing?
Ooh, I'll tell you what. Taking a moment to catch our breath. I'm sure you and the rest of the drivers doing so as well. Job done here tonight. You do not end the season winless, picking up the finale victory here this evening, leading a race high 28 circuits. But boy, I mentioned this to Greg. There was a lot of movement going on there. Second, third, fourth row during the course of that final run to the checkered flag. How many eyes were out the windshield? How many were on the rear view mirror during the course of that run?
Yeah, 90% mirror, 10% out the front. It was a lot of looking back, looking for the third lane, looking for any subtle moves from anybody behind me. I rode the bottom mostly, and I kind of jumped to the middle there with Palmer there, and that was kind of a late move. I just mentioned in the lobby that I don't know if I would have made that move if there wasn't Palmer. That's his signature late jump up there, so I pulled that on him. Thanks, Greg. So he was pushing me good at the end there, and we raced clean, and rode it out.
I mentioned about the fact that for Greg, this was his first top 5 of the season. For you, this is only your second top 5. A lot of drivers that we're used to seeing not only just go to victory lane, but be consistent throughout the season, have run into bad luck, including yourself, coming into tonight and leaving tonight. What was the mentality coming in, and what does this victory do for you now to kind of just have the reset of the off season here in preparation for season 68?
Yeah, I just gotta stay committed to taking less vacations, I guess. But I also had some bad luck when I was here. Yeah, just gotta be more clean. And there was some luck involved too with blown engine. And yeah, it's nice to finish the season off with a win and gain a little momentum into next season. And we have the All-Star race coming up in 2 weeks, and I'd like to perform well in that and get some more momentum going into next season. So yeah, just being more committed to going to more races and being here and having some good finishes. Yeah.
You mentioned about the All-Star race. I want to touch on that just a little bit more, because coming in tonight, there were only 4 drivers that were in the hunt for the championship. Everybody else, it seemed like tonight, they were just gunning for the final checkered flag of the season. In a couple of weeks' time, same mod, same racetrack for the Super Speedway All-Star race. And again, not a whole lot really on the line there in terms of points, in terms of a championship. It's an all-star race mentality. So with being able to keep them all at bay here tonight, how good of maybe a practice race, a test race was that in preparation to maybe now double down and win the all-star race as well?
Yeah, exactly. It was kind of similar to that. Checkers or wreckers. I wasn't points racing, so I was just gunning for that top spot. That's what the all-star race is going to be. All the top dogs are going to be there, and who's going to come out and top dog for that night and bring home the trophy. All-Star race is always exciting.
Certainly is, and tonight's race was no exception either. Exciting from start to finish. Joe, congratulations on picking up the final checkered flag here of season 67. We'll let you get back to your celebrating here in a moment, but first, the floor is yours for thank you, sponsors, and shout-outs.
Thanks, guys. Per usual, I want to thank RTG and you guys at FRN. You guys always doing a great job, and Blaine up there with his see a Tarnation TV there. Sorry, Race LM, Sullen Paints, Mobs Motors, my sponsors at OldCityFlyShop.com. I want to thank everybody watching at home, Uncle T, LC, Dan, my work buddies. And I always want to thank guys like Bones for showing me the ropes here. R.I.P. Bones. And like Mike said in the lobby tonight, happy WrestleMania weekend. Acknowledge the Tribal Chief, guys. Have a good night.
Well, that's Joe DeSpirito. He brings it home with the victory here this evening. Congratulations on a job well done. Best of luck in the upcoming All-Star race and the start of season 68.
Thanks, guys. Good night.
Ironic, I'm wearing an OTC shirt, but Roman Reigns decided to play the old card a couple of weeks ago, so I'm not sure if I want to acknowledge him or not.
I feel like the opinions are mixed in this group.
They are.
To win.
I mean,
Indeed.
I'll take almost anybody over CM Punk. So
Well, let's see if we can acknowledge a driver that won a championship here tonight. Let's get a hold of the driver that won the bracket challenge title here tonight. Let's get a hold of Brian Schilling. Hey, Brian, it's the guys up here in the booth. You got a copy?
Yep.
Wow. Beautiful paint scheme here tonight. That 3 doors down livery seemed to be pretty speedy and at just the right time. We talk about it every single season when it comes to the bracket challenge. Whoever you're battling with, you always seem to find them in the same portion of the field at the exact same time. One position here tonight, the difference between you taking this title or finishing runner-up. You bring it home in that 18th spot, but man, it was getting really close there at the end between you and Grant. We saw that snooker move there on the back straightaway. Walk me through that, because for you, it must have felt like you were battling for the race win, and you got drivers double wide, 3 wide all around you. You don't have the benefit of being up at the front.
Oh, yeah. I was joking. After the race, I go, I've never had to race so hard for 15th place in my life. But, I work well with Grant. I hated to do it. But on the other side, I'm running for a championship. I know he's running for a championship, but I feel bad in some regards, but I had to, so, but yeah, that was crazy at the end.
certainly was. A couple of seasons ago, you ended up picking up the Bracket Challenge Championship as well at the conclusion of, I believe it was season 65. Being able to win these bracket challenges, to describe to the folks that are watching at home, because we talk about the fact that RTG always has something for everybody to race for, whether it's the Challenger Series on Monday or Wednesday night, the bracket challenge here, but how much of a struggle is it to not only win a title like this where it's in a bracket tournament style, but then also, maybe have that be one of three priorities you have on the night if you're a playoff driver trying to advance into the next round, or if you're in the regular season trying to win to advance into the playoffs. I mean, it kind of puts a lot on a driver's plate.
Oh, for sure. And, at a certain point, nothing against the bracket. I love the bracket series. I've had great success. It's still that prize for the big championship. But I always have the bracket in the back of my mind. If I know I can't win, if I'm not in a position to win the race, I'm always looking for who I'm racing and at least getting what I can on that front. So, and to be honest, I've had a streak of very good luck and very bad things happening. You could say my opponents have been cursed. I did not curse them, but but there's weeks where they'll just fall out, they'll blow up, and it's like, oh, well, I guess I don't have to worry about thinking about that. But
he paid human monies to get them cursed.
Yes. So yeah, it's definitely, there's a lot going on each race.
Well, obviously here tonight, we kind of likened this similar to what we probably can expect to see in a couple of weeks' time when we come back here to this venue for the Super Speedway All-Star Race of 2026. This season, you were able to find victory lane. You were able to be in the playoffs, unfortunately eliminated early on in the postseason. But with what you were able to glean in terms of information tonight, how does that have you prepared for the All-Star Race coming up in a couple of weeks' time?
Well, it's going to be a free-for-all. So I guess just lots of three wide. I think you're going to see a lot of what you've seen tonight. Just a lot of volatility with lanes. So it's going to be all just about picking the right lane at the right time.
Well, Brian, a great run for you here tonight to be able to pick up that Bracket Challenge Championship, able to edge Grant by that one position to win that title. Congratulations on the job well done in that regard. Obviously, best of luck to you in the upcoming All-Star Race, and of course in preparation for season 68 as well. Before we let you go, floor is yours for thank you, sponsors, and shoutouts.
Well, first of all, congrats to Chuck on the main championship. Another season well run. Also, congrats to Donnie. Donnie, oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank. The other Final Four, Grant and Tim. Sorry. Congrats to them for a very good season. Also, thank you for the donation put on so these can be broadcast. Josh, Tim, Rodney, you guys do so much work. I only see a portion of it. I jump in and help out when it's needed, but those guys, this doesn't happen without those three. Sean, it was good to see you tonight. We miss you. Love to see you back on the track whenever you can. And just thank you, everyone.
Well, that's Brian Schilling. He will take his second Bracket Challenge Championship in the last 3 seasons as he picks it up here tonight in season 67. Congratulations, Brian. Maybe we see you do back-to-back between 67 and 68, and obviously looking forward to seeing you in season 68 in the Talladega Challenge Series in a few weeks' time.
All right, sounds good. And people are not going to be happy, but 6-7.
Oh, boy.
We couldn't go through the season without somebody saying it. I tried avoiding it as best I could, but there you go. Brian Schilling, your Bracket Challenge champion here tonight. And now let's go down to Champions Victory Lane and dial up the overall champion, back-to-back champion here of the Talladega Challenge Series. Let's get a hold of Chuck McClure. Hey, Chuck, it's the guys up here in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Hey, guys.
Well, man, first off, has it sunk in yet for you? Because I think wheeling it is the understatement of the year with what we saw you doing on those final couple of laps.
That's as hard as I've ever driven a sim race car, and I had one eye in the mirror and one eye in the windshield, and looking for that 88. Holy crap! I didn't think I even had it.
Yeah, we when we were looking, obviously we had the benefit of having the wide scape of who's running where. Looks like 5th position would have been enough for you to be able to take the championship here tonight, but you bettered that by a couple spots and end out your championship season on the podium. We documented this after the guys took the checkered flag, that this season for you was kind of a tale of two seasons. You got into the playoffs through consistency, but then you turned up the wick as the playoffs migrated on, got that victory to lock yourself into the Final Four, and then came into tonight. Not saying that you were majorly behind the 8 ball, but you rolled off the grid dead last. You were the lowest of the championship 4. So did that put more pressure on you, or did that maybe motivate you more once the green flag flew?
I was extremely motivated, and I had 3 other cars I kept my eye on in particular. And boy, it's tough to move up through there. They kept wanting to block, and which, you know, they're supposed to, but it made it very tough to make any headway early.
We obviously saw, I believe, that none of you Championship 4 drivers finished this race without getting involved in some incident, though most incidents looked relatively tame compared to others. You end up getting involved in a wreck where you spun out. Didn't look like really any damage sustained, but you talk about it being difficult to work back up to the front of the field. Was this one of those races, being a Championship 4 driver, where track position actually was a huge premium?
Yeah, I think so, because you know, it's hard to pass these guys. For some reason tonight, they all amped it up, and you know, we're all just a squirrel trying to get a nut, basically. And man, once I got up front, I was like, okay, where's Grant? Where's Tim? Where's Donnie?
Well, you've had a couple of entirely different paths over the last of the last 2 seasons, the course of the last 2 seasons, and you've ended up parked in championship victory lane. I know it's way too early to make any predictions to the upcoming season 68, but with this momentum, what does this do for the confidence level that maybe, just maybe, we see you pull off a three-peat?
Well, that's going to be even tougher than 2. I never even dreamed that I'd have a second in a row, but nobody's going to work with me next year. That's plain to see. they're going to think I'm greedy, and I am. I won another championship, so I don't expect anyone to work with me at all next year.
But what about the All-Star race
I
we got coming up? Yeah, there you go. I mean, Michael said he was committed to pushing you here tonight before he ended up deciding to be the new Artemis 3. But, you know, we got the All-Star race coming up here in a couple of weeks' time. What does that do maybe in terms of you testing the water with some strategy and preparation for season 68 as well? Because at least in that race, there's not nearly as much on the line. There's not a championship hanging in the balance. There's just that checkered flag and maybe some momentum to build towards the new season.
All-Star race to me has always been checkers or wreckers, and it's usually the first one, or the second one, I mean. I've never won that race. I feel like that would be a huge notch in my belt and kind of give me some validity, I guess. But I kind of really want to win that pretty bad.
Well, Chuck, we certainly look forward to seeing if you're able to pull off that victory in a couple of weeks' time. Congratulations on the incredible season here, being able to find victory lane to get yourself into the Final Four, and then closing out the deal here over the course of these last 2 races on the podium to close out the season as well. We now turn it over to you for championship victory lane. Thank you, sponsors and shoutouts.
Well, first off, I want to thank Rodney for that Jack Daniels car. He kind of got on me tonight and said, "Why aren't you driving a throwback?" And I'm like, "This is my baby. This is my favorite one." The anonymous donor that made it possible for you guys to broadcast. Of course, you guys up in the booth, awesome job. I can't wait to watch every week, especially this week. Sean Prime, Josh Metallic, all the guys that run this place. Without fail, nobody really gives them enough credit. They deserve it all. I want to thank Tim and Grant and Donnie for racing hard, racing clean, and everybody at Marshall County Schools. Fastest bus driver on earth now. and all the friends and family. I appreciate them watching as well.
Well, Chuck, once again, congratulations. Go and enjoy this championship back-to-back here between season 66 and season 67. Certainly going to have our eyes on this number 17 when the first green flag flies in season 68. Job well done here. Congratulations.
I appreciate it, guys. Can't wait to watch.
Chuck McClure is your season 67 Talladega Challenge Series champion. And the final results are calculated. 3 points was the difference between McClure and Wesley here tonight for this championship. Donnie Garrett will finish third in the championship standings with Tim Knopfsker in fourth place. But guys, again, I said with what we saw last week, it was definitely going to be interesting to see how that set the table for tonight. And at least for certain points of this race, it came down for the championship 4 to survival, really, to try and win this title.
Yeah, it was absolutely crazy. We saw that early on in the race where 3 of the 4 drivers were involved in that big wreck that we had, and none of them really got any damage in it, but that just really set the toll for the rest of the night. And just another one of those races we had no idea who the champion was going to be coming to the stripe.
The overall champion was decided by a battle that was for the bracket challenge championship. That move by Ryan Schilling to kind of bait Grant Wesley into running the high side and then left him out to dry. That was ultimately, that one decision is what decided the overall championship. So I feel like, again, just the unpredictable nature of things, but also a little bit of a strategic play as well in the other championship. It's kind of crazy how they intersected at the end of the season.
Seth, when I was doing that wheelie, when I started to do that wheelie, I literally kept thinking to myself, wow, I want Seth to scream, he's doing a wheelie!
I got to admit, that line was in the back of my mind as I saw you do that. I think Kyle was the one that called you doing the wheelie, though.
It was me.
Oh, it was Jack. Okay. It was one of those two, because I know it wasn't me. Something that really amazes me as well is a lot of times, especially when we end up getting into the final race of the regular season or, an elimination race during the playoffs, you look at a driver sitting 10 points back, and while that may not seem like much, and Kyle, you alluded to it, it seems like whoever it is you are battling, whether it's for a playoff spot, whether it's for a bracket challenge championship, or even a bracket battle during the course of a week, everybody seems to find each other in the same portion of the racetrack at the same time, which makes it difficult to be able to make up ground. Past history would have put Chuck McClure at quite a disadvantage, being 10 points back from the points leader. With what he was able to pull off here tonight, it's a little bit outside of the norm in a comeback that we normally don't see drivers be able to make with points as tight as they are.
Yeah, it was quite a thrilling thing to see right there. I mean, everybody, that final restart, everybody got up on the wheel. We saw Grant Wesley try to make a mad charge from the back. Looked like he was going to get there, and then we saw Chuck McClure up front there. He didn't know that he was, in position to win the championship. So he was trying to get everything that he could get there at the end. It just made for a really exciting show.
Definitely did. Well, so far, 3 championships have been up for grabs. They've gone to 3 different drivers. Jeremy Jeffries winning the Bare Bones Racing Series Championship on Monday night. Grant Wesley winning last night's Aero 88 Series Championship. And tonight, Chuck McClure goes back-to-back as he wins the championship here on Thursday nights in the Talladega Challenge Series. There's still one more title to be decided. That's going to be tomorrow night when the Amish Survivor Series drivers take to South Boston Speedway for their final race and their final wacky race, the pole race at South Boston. Grant Wesley looking for his second championship of the week. Jeremy Jeffries, Keith Hughes, they still got a mathematical shot, so it should be an interesting finale for them on Friday night. You can follow that at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow night on the Flat Out Racing Network. But what an incredible 67th season it has been for the Talladega Challenge Series. Parity galore as 10 different drivers found their way to victory lane. And when the dust settled and the final checkered flag waved, Chuck McClure emerged victorious. Congratulations to him, to Brian Schilling on winning the Bracket Challenge Championship, and Joe DeSpirito on capturing the final victory of the season. These drivers will all look to carry that momentum into the 2026 RTG Super Speedway All-Star Race. That'll be on April 30th, 2 weeks from tonight. Same mod, same Talladega venue. Be sure to join us for that. But for Blaine Donlin, Jack Mitchell, Kyle Matthews, Michael Norman here as well, who finally came back down to Earth after visiting space, I'm Seth Cole. Thanks for joining us here this season of the Talladega Challenge Series. We'll see you guys in a few weeks' time when season 68 fires up. You've been watching another broadcast courtesy of the Flat Out Racing Network and Tarnation TV.
That they're going to space next.